Welcome to 10 Days to Your Authentic Self. This is a 10 episode series to celebrate 100 episodes of Esther's Universe. This episode is about releasing your anxiety and stepping into a flow with the universe. So, I want you to practice this every day if you can. I mean, I know you can, just try not to forget. And if you do forget, just start again. What you're going to do is, let's just say you're driving to work or driving somewhere and people are annoying on the road and someone's looking like they're trying to get in front of you and you're pulling into a park but there's like two cars that are taking up the whole thing and you can't get past. I want you to notice in your body when you start to feel antsy, when you're starting to feel like a bit agitated and you want everyone to get the fuck out of your way. And I want you to slowly breathe in and out of your nose. And I want you to say to yourself, in your mind or out loud, that you are not going to resist right now, and that you are grateful that everything is working out exactly when it's meant to. Okay? I'm not going to resist the flow of what's happening right now, and I'm really grateful that everything's working out exactly when it's meant to. The thought process behind that is you don't fucking know that this car in front of you could literally be saving you from getting into an accident, 30 seconds down the road. Or anything. We don't know. We have no idea. Maybe you weren't meant to get to that thing exactly on time because the friend that you're meeting needs to be triggered because they're going through their abandonment wound stuff and they're getting a lesson in not feeling abandoned and feeling like you don't value them and you don't care about them just because you're 5 minutes late or whatever. Maybe they needed to get triggered, so then you needed to be late, even if you weren't, even if you were otherwise going to be on time. Who fucking knows? The point is, we don't know. But what we do know is that when we're in the energy of everything works out for me at the perfect time, or if you want to say, I'm in the perfect place at the perfect time. I'm always in the perfect place at the perfect time. I'm always in the perfect place at the perfect time. When we're in that energy, we release the resistance. We release the grip and we go, you know what? I, myself, have a greater consciousness that is so fucking big and eternal that it's beyond my own human comprehension. But I know it's there, and I know that this version of me is looking out for me. I know that this version of me is never trying to punish me. I know this version of me is always getting me exactly to where I need to be, to experience what I need to experience, to learn what I need to learn, to embody what I need to embody, to have the life of freedom that I am meant to have. Yes, you deserve it, but it's not just that you deserve to live a life of freedom. You're literally meant to. It's the best thing that you can do for yourself and for this planet is to be the version of you that can be the most free. When you're in that energy, your fucking existence is healing every cunt everywhere, okay? And you know it too. You're like, wow, I'm powerful. So you want to release the resistance. You want to release the need to speed everything up and control when things happen. And you want to aim at being more patient, aim at just trusting things are working out that they're meant to. Okay? Because sometimes things are uncomfortable. It's not to say that I'm in the perfect place at the perfect time is going to save you from discomfort for the rest of your life. But it is going to remind you that even though sometimes things are uncomfortable, that they're meant to be exactly as they are and you were meant to be there experiencing them and everything is happening is exactly as it's meant to happen. Okay? Because you're on the path of development already. That's the thing you probably forget. It's you listen to these podcasts because you care about yourself and you're on a development path. You're moving forward. You do things like go on a hot girl stomp and you do things like journaling and you meditate and you go see the psychic and you get an energy healing and you do some stretching and you buy the crystals and you fucking catch up with the girls for good solid yaps. You do these things because you are moving forward because you love yourself, because you're showing up for yourself again and again and again and again. And I want you to remember that in the times when you're like, why aren't I where I want to be yet? What have I done wrong? What have I missed? What am I not remembering right now? What am I not seeing? Like, where are the gaps? First of all, yes, you do want to find the things, but allow yourself grace with it, you know? Like, look for the things when people are speaking to you, like what messages from the universe are coming through them, or when you see signs on the road, like, what do you feel like it is that the universe is telling you, the human? Like, what are you telling yourself through the symbols and signs and the very nature of your existence? Like, yes, like look for things, but have fun with it. Like you're a curious little 8-year-old just being like, ooh, what could I be learning on my journey now, you know? So move out of that high expectations of yourself and allow yourself so much grace, because what you're doing is you're moving forward no matter what. Remember that. And you're also putting yourself in positions that you've never been in before. So to become a better version of yourself, than the version of you that is open to endless, infinite potentials and incredible opportunities and everything, you need to be open, and you need to be relaxing and trusting in your own capability, in your own capacity, because you've been here like 1,000 times before in your life in other ways. You can do it. You know you can do it, right? So I want you to think about anxiety as, let's just say there's a river and you're floating down this river, and you start to get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm about to exit the part of the river that I know, and I'm really scared of that because it could be rapids down there. It could be, I don't know what's down there. I don't know, I can't see what's around the bend, so I'm just going to grab onto this rock. And so you're holding this rock and your legs are kind of dangling down the river because the current's pulling you, and you're just floating there, and the river, all these like debris is trying to like kind of knock you off the rock, and you're just holding onto it, and you're like, no, I don't want to let go because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's in the unknown, and I don't know what's around the corner. It could be anything, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. And so you're hanging onto that rock for dear life, and the universe is like, get off the rock. And like, you know, a log will come your way, a tree branch will fly into your face, like all kinds of things are trying to knock you off the rock. Like, let go of it, let go of it. It's better around the corner. This part's becoming not aligned anymore. Let go. And then you finally let go. You go, all right, I can't fucking handle this relationship anymore. Or you go, I can't fucking handle this job anymore. I can't fucking handle listening to my friends say this anymore. I can't fucking handle being this version of myself anymore. I'm giving myself the ick. Like, whatever it is that you're like, okay, I can't anymore. I'm fucking done. Like, I'm sick of myself now. At that point, you let go. You let go of the fucking rock. And then you float around the corner and you're like, oh my God, where am I going? I'm going to cry. I'm getting emotional. And when you're flying around this corner, it's this like big wide bend, and it seems to just go on forever. You're like, when will I see the other side of this bend? And it's just so monumental. And you're floating down the river and you're on your back and you can't see where you're going, but you have the intention of where you're going. You know where you want to be, and you're trying your best to stay in the feeling of where you want to be. And so then eventually you get around the corner, and finally the rapids kind of slow, and it's this beautiful big wide dam, almost like it's out in nature. It's a beautiful kind of flat water, and you're floating in that, and it's slowed down enough that you can like stop and look around, and you go, oh, here I am. Wow, okay, I get it. And then you'll understand like why you had to let go, why you had to make that jump, that leap into the unknown, why you had to make such a radical change or shift in your life, why you had to make that hard choice, why you had to lose those people, or why you had to feel, you know, this way. You get it. And you're like, oh, thank God that was worth it. You know, like life is different now. It's better. It feels different. It feels amazing. And then from there, like once you get around that first really big wide bend and you're living in this place where you're like, oh, wow, it really does feel like I live on a different planet to most people now. Like the way that people think, it just feels so foreign from how I think now. And it's like, no judgment, I still have love for all these people, but I'm just like, whoa, it's so different. But I don't forget that that was once me, you know what I mean? So like I have compassion. I'm like, oh yeah, I get where they're at. I understand. So I'm in this loving place where I'm still amongst everyone, but I just think differently and I feel differently, but it feels like I'm on a different planet basically. And then the physical's changing. The physical starts changing energetically. People show up differently. Like, people respond to me differently. And this will happen for you as well if it hasn't already. And you'll notice that your life starts to actually shift. Like, more opportunities come in. You say yes to more things. Things pop up that you're like intrigued by, and you go and action them. And you are like, you know what? Maybe I will fucking start a podcast, or maybe I will do the thing, or whatever. And you decide to put yourself out there, and you start to want to share everything that you learned on that journey, because why wouldn't you? You're so grateful for it. You understand that it's the biggest gift you've ever given yourself. And you're like, oh my God, I was in that river bend for fucking ages. I know the way around it. I'm going to do something and help everybody else. Because there's people who resonate with me and my energy, and I know they need it. So anyway, that's probably where you're going to end up. If you listen to my podcast and you vibe with me, that's likely your future. So anxiety is not bad. It's okay to feel anxiety. We're going to feel it when we jump into the unknown. So we may as well not resist it. And what we can do is we can allow ourselves to think, okay, what's the absolute worst case scenario if this does happen? If I am, if I need to take a big jump in my life, what's the worst that could happen? And you're not asking yourself that to will it on, obviously. You're not like saying it in like some kind of antagonization to your ether self. It's more like you're being conscious with yourself in the moment, and you're kind of reparenting yourself in that moment. Like, okay, so you're afraid of doing this thing, but you don't really need to be afraid. And so how can you show yourself that you don't really need to be afraid? You can go back in your mind to what the worst possible, thing that could ever possibly happen if this went wrong. And then tell yourself all the ways that you can handle that exact thing. Allow yourself to feel it. Like, allow yourself to be there in your mind. Like, what does that feel like? Like, what? And then you'll feel anxious and anxiety or whatever in your body, and you'll be like, oh, uncomfortable. And that's okay. It's fine. You're being there with yourself. You're healing yourself in this moment. And then you can go, okay, I am deciding now to like release this or whatever, and set whatever intention that you want to feel when you're kind of coming out of that situation. But the main thing is that you carry yourself through it with this energy and intention of, I'm just showing myself that I can handle it here and now, right? So anxiety is like this fear that you can't handle the thing. You're fearing things that might happen that haven't even happened yet. You're fearing things that might happen, and you're only scared of them because you think you can't handle them. So if you remember the times in your life when you'd felt the worst that you'd ever felt, and how you're in a better place now, that means that you'd handled it, right? You have handled everything in your life so far. You have 100% success rate proof that you can handle anything. So remind yourself of that when you're in that anxiety moment, and remind yourself that you're like, okay, well, now I've felt the worst of it. I've just taken myself to the worst of my fear and I handled it. I've reminded myself that there are people in this world that can catch me if I fall. And even if I have to fall on my own, I understand ways to survive. Like, I'll be okay, but it's not going to get that bad. It's not going to. You're going to be okay. So that, my friends, is how to release the resistance and step into flow with the universe and work with your anxiety instead of against your anxiety, which just gives you more anxiety, okay? And obviously the point of this episode is to help you shift back into that energy that you're trying to embody, that we talked about in the first episode of this series. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Remember that I have created a course for you if you want to start a podcast and you want to do it in alignment with your spiritual development path like I have. If you see a version of you in me and you know that you can do this, you've got this feeling deep inside you that you need to share your journey, your story, you need to get yourself out there in some way, follow that feeling. I've made the course for you. You absolutely can do this. If you resonate with me, you can do it. Anyone can do it. But like, if you like how I do it, but you've got your own visions of how you want to do it, you can do it. You don't need the course to do it. I didn't have any course when I did it. I just figured it all out myself and all of that. But I also have a background in this kind of like digital online space. So I feel like I spoke the native language already, if that makes sense. So that's to do with actually setting up the podcast. But the rest of it, using it as a spiritual journey, I've never heard of anyone else doing that, although I do think it is an inherent part of the process. I think it just happens. So I, like a master alchemist, have taken my entire experience of the last, creating this podcast and the last 100 episodes, or almost 100 episodes. I've been able to alchemize the entire spiritual process that I underwent throughout this self-expression, throughout this journey of authenticity, of being seen, of expressing my energy out into the world. So I'm able to pass that on for you, and then you can take the road that is faster and shorter than the road that I took. Okay? That's how humans ascend and evolve. So it's important that you share your message and your wisdom as well, because you too need to clear the path for someone else. So join the waitlist. The first 1,000 people to sign up for this course are going to get an early bird discount. And then after that, it's up to full price. So put your email in, it's in the show notes. Please like this episode, or share it, or leave a comment, or rate the show, or follow the show, interact with the podcast to help me get this out into the world. I love doing it so much. So I just want to do it forever and ever. Amen. Love you so much. See you in the next episode tomorrow morning.